It's the Roman Martinez Show. Before you get up and go, you better sit your butt down and turn up the sound. It's the Roman Martinez Show.
Okay, you're rolling.
Oh shit, that scared the hell out of me.
So you're gonna leave that in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, oh, you're rolling. Thank you, Phil. Welcome to the show.
Tell them what the show is, Roman. That's the time to name it.
We're going to go through a series of different titles for this. Maybe we'll have a contest, or maybe when we put it out, maybe some comment, nice comment can come out and we get a nice title for the show. Right now I'm thinking the innocuous nocturnal hour, and the reason for that is because MCM, if we say a dirty word, they'll put us on after 11 p.m. So as I've already just, christened this an 11 p.m. show, innocuous nocturnal hour, or I don't know, what do you think, John? Do you have any idea?
I think roaming with Roman is fun for now.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Until episode 3, then it needs a new name.
We'll just change the name of the show.
Call in.
Yeah, call in show. So, anyways.
We need a phone that doesn't actually ring here for that. No one ever calls.
So, John, thanks for coming here, driving all this way over here to McMinnville. And so John Reddy is the lead for Flirting with the Devil on DVD. You've done some projects. Let's talk about like what you've done since Flirting with the Devil, and then what you plan on doing way after Flirting with the Devil.
Do you mean in terms of like acting or producing or?
You know, let's talk about your acting, and then your producing, directing with Crescent Skull Cinema.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of what I've done since then in Portland, almost exclusively like commercials and music videos, and the odd student film here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, like student films, I remember like, I don't want to date myself here, but like sometime around like 2011 or 2012 doing a student film, and like they were just such garbage at Penn State. I'm so sorry, alma mater. They gotta stop calling me for money, and then I'll stop dissing them. But the film program was just not lit there. But at the, not Portland Community College, but what's the one downtown? University of Portland or something?
Portland State University?
That's it,
Okay.
PSU, right, because I went to Penn State, and that one was Portland State.
Mm-hmm.
They have the same acronym. Some of the stuff that they've put out there is just like higher quality than most of the other stuff that I've done, including like union stuff. So,
Really?
Yeah, it's just they got really good equipment, and their kids are a lot smarter and more well connected nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a couple things with them, and a couple commercials that were done by Black Bull Media. I think that's what their LLC is. But like, what was funny is that do you know Laura Welsh?
Yeah, I became friends with her on Facebook a little while ago, and she was in the Pillow
Party
Massacre.
Pillow Party Massacre.
Yeah.
Instant classic here.
I can't wait.
She was my mom in that one, and then there were other boys in it that were her sons as well, who were actually 5 and 6, and then there's me, and I'm like, someone did not think this through casting, but I'm like, I was down for that check, so I'm like, I'll be 12 today, whatever it's supposed to be.
And she's young too, like
yeah,
she's
she doesn't,
around your age, right? Yeah.
Probably younger than me, I don't know. The irony. I got good genes. Not these ones, they're from Walmart. But that's what I've done in Portland, and then like all the narrative stuff that I've done has either been your stuff here and Jared Brandon Flande. The JBF.
Yeah, JBF.
JBF.
Mm-hmm.
I've done your stuff out here, and then all the other narrative stuff has been in Seattle. And that stuff is usually, what I've observed from up there is that most of the people making their projects will make one project over the course of like 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get many return clients, whereas you've put out like 3 or 4 things a year, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
You just had 3 things airing last December, all at the same time. Although some of that was filmed before 2021, right?
What, my stuff?
Yeah, like Ophelia and...
Ophelia was filmed in 2019. P-Word was in 2020. And then Flirting with the Devil was 2021. Yeah. And then I've done a bunch of stuff before that, but yeah. It's since graduating school. Ophelia was the first one I did, yeah.
And then a lot of stuff this year too, right? Like you had Red.
Her name was Red. iClown, of course. Barry Black and the Bad Trip for McMinnville Community Media. Helping out with Galen Flynn's Free Spirit. And I feel like there was something else I did that I'm forgetting, but duh, Crystal.
With Nicolette, you did the Dollhouse too, right?
Yes, thank you. Dollhouse, Laika Constantino's Dollhouse, directed by Nicolette Pullen. And then we did a pandemic one called What's New. Did I tell you about that?
I don't know that one.
So we were, obviously we couldn't see each other in person. So I had a series of rehearsals for a project called What's New, written by Stefan Feuerhardt, who was Mr. Frost in Ophelia. Really cool guy, and he wrote the script for What's New, and then Tim Coyle and Nicolette Pullen were in it. And we did rehearsals. I said, set up your iPhones. I'll get you some lighting equipment from Amazon. And then they basically just shot a bunch of footage. And Kyle Dotterman is from here at MCM is editing it. So we'll have that at the screening event. What's New.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our midway segment, we'll go out and see how he's doing. He's just at the front desk right now. That's how you keep people accountable. Put them on camera.
Well, he messaged me actually, was it last night? And he said, hey, Roman, the Nicolette footage is corrupted. Can you resend it to me? So luckily I had it on the Google Drive.
That's just fun. So have you done film festivals before?
Yeah, I've done the McMinnville Film Festival back in 2014. Yeah.
So when I was in Spokane the last few years, there was it was called the 50-hour slam, where you get 50 hours to make a movie. Mm-hmm. And I was in it the only year that I ever did it. No, I did 2 years, but the 1 year I was on a team that somebody else was doing. Mm-hmm. We went out to, there's a TV show called Z Nation. I don't know if you heard of that one.
That sounds really familiar.
It was like a zombie show on Sci-Fi Network. So it was like the Sci-Fi Channel sort of campy version of what Walking Dead was. Mm-hmm. And they used to film in this like closed off, it was like the building or the area was called Kaiser something, but it wasn't like Kaiser Permanente, the healthcare. It was like its own different thing. Mm-hmm. But it was this giant like concrete wasteland of like partially collapsed buildings and like rubble everywhere. Whoa. That they would film the show here. And we went out and filmed something there for the 50-hour slam. Mm-hmm. And we filmed the whole thing in one day, and then the plan was that they were gonna edit the next day and turn it in that night. And later that night, one of the people operating the camera said, or they had handed over a memory card to the director who was editing it, mm-hmm. and all of the footage was like corrupted. Mm. And I'm like, well, I have a recovery program, so I drove over to the director's house, we tried recovering it, and it was just like wiped, and then we're like, what do we do? And then that guy, the camera guy was like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna come back and film it again. So all the rest of us went out and we filmed it again, and we made it just in time. But corrupted footage just always brings me back to that day.
Well, it's the kind of thing that like literally will stop your heart, you know. Love a Clown, we did the screening for it, and literally I think the night or two before, I accidentally unplugged the hard drive, and then I got that little, I don't know if you're familiar with Final Cut Pro, but you get the like the little red screens and all the thumbnails, like, you know, not available for it.
I get that on audio files all the time, so I have to just keep dragging them in again.
But that's interesting that you mentioned the 50-hour. I've never done anything like that, and I'm like imagining how stressful but fun those are, like the 24-hour.
It depends who is leading the tribe. Because I've been on good ones, mm-hmm. been on not so good ones.
Well, have you led the tribe? See, I imagine you'd be calm.
Well, I'm an Eagle Scout, so like I know how to like organize a group of people to make something happen. But the thing is with these things, I think a lot of the time everyone has like these grand visions of, oh, we're gonna do this and that.
Well, I would think like it's almost like gambling in a way. Like you're getting more and more chips, to get like grander and grander with the production, and then you lose everything because you got the sets all halfway built or whatever. And
well, I think when they were setting up, they were talking about sometimes the more equipment you have, the more it sort of like slows down things and you need more manpower. And I think a lot of the time the issue that people have is that they don't get enough coverage.
Yeah.
So they'll focus on like what the resolution is instead of like, if you just do like a one source lighting, sometimes you can get away with that and it makes things move a lot faster. Especially if it's if you've just got a lot of coverage, like you're doing a wide establishing shot, if you just have one thing in the corner there, if it's a small room, sometimes that's what you got to do, especially if you can't hang up lights like they have in here. If you just light it well, you use more than one lens, and you get a lot of coverage, it's going to come out a lot better than I think when you make things a lot more grand.
Well, I mean, if I know like having Tim Coyle on set is just like a godsend, because he's, he does the sound, but he also does the lighting. He did for Dollhouse, it was getting dark, and he made it look like daylight. He put like the white light on it. I was like, holy crap! Like, how did he do that? So it's like, it's like being a wizard in a way. It's like you have good people who know what the hell they're doing. And
I feel like he's just the Bob Ross of the film scene around here, because he's just got that really calming voice, and everything's going to be fine while he's there,
He's a human sensei, essentially. That's kind of how I described him. But yeah, I mean, and then you've done also your own productions, which I was really like, I mean, I don't want to say like I was astonished by it, because, I mean, a lot of people do multiple things. They act, they direct, they write, they do music. But you're like hanging out on Flirting with the Devil set in the downtime. You're on your computer and like, hey, John, how you doing? What you doing? Oh, I'm composing a song. I was like, oh, damn, cool.
I don't remember what that one was. Oh, that was probably for the Lester Finch one. I think I was editing that at the same time.
Oh, okay, yeah. Lester Finch is that available on YouTube right now?
Yes.
So
I had to think about it.
What's the official title, and what's your YouTube channel so people can check it out?
Oh, if you just YouTube search The Final Will of Lester Finch, it'll pop up. But I've done I'm starting to value my privacy a little more, so I've gotten rid of almost all my personal social media. I still have YouTube, but I didn't make it my first and last name anymore. And I've edited a lot of my descriptions so that way it's a little bit harder to find me, but I'm in a different point in my life where I feel like a lot of the time when my face is attached to a piece of art that I get judged really hard in a lot of situations where it's not like outside of like family or friends. I get talked down to a lot because I think a lot of people just look at me and think that I'm either like young and naive or like I just look stupid. So I am trying to make most of my art that goes out, whether it be a movie or a painting or whatever else that I put out there, not have my face to it. So that way it's more about if somebody enjoys the art instead of, who's attached to it.
You just show them a copy of this and say, I was a killer in Flirting with the Devil.
Yeah, I ran over, what was her name, Allison?
Allie Whiprud?
Yeah. You could tell by the awesome pants did Caroline make those? Was she altering that costume?
It was Sandy Gray, who made Caroline. Which Caroline are you thinking of?
The one that basically runs the MCM weekly meetings.
Caroline O'Brien?
Yeah.
No.
So I remember seeing her face at some point, like I don't know if she was on Skype with Mary Jane, but like she was involved in some capacity with some of that. I thought she like worked on the jacket or something.
She helped out with our script.
Oh, okay.
She went through the script and like, no, that doesn't work. No, okay, yeah, that's better. Explain that a little bit more, Roman. Yeah.
Why does she want the prune juice?
Yeah, exactly. So and God bless Mary Jane, because she allowed me to kind of take it into that weird territory.
Yeah. She's a good sport about having her life on film.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think, and I think we did it pretty well in terms of collaborating, because it was like, she lived the experience.
Should we preface this for if they don't know what Flirting with the Devil is?
Yes, please elaborate on it for our viewers.
Okay,
viewers
all right.
here.
I'm going to do my best to promote your thing here. So Flirting with the Devil is the story of Mary Jane Strand, a McMinnville local here, who in the 70s, she spent an evening in a laundromat with some guy that was very charming at the time. And he sort of coerced his way into visiting her at her house when she was taking her laundry home. And he completely changed while he was there. And she was very frightened by the encounter, but managed to stay safe, you know, trying to lock herself out. I don't even know if she had a lock on her door at the time.
I don't think so, and we kind of changed up the events a little bit.
But basically, she found out years later that the gentleman at her house was Ted Bundy. And then, so she wrote sort of a little bit about her life there, I'm learning it's pronounced biopic and not biopic, like I thought it was biopic.
Oh.
It just doesn't sound right to me, but apparently it's right, so I gotta swallow that one there. But and then she met with Roman, and they collaborated on making it into like a short script, and they made it into a movie last year. I forget how I was setting that up, but anyway, we were talking about something to do with that.
Oh, Caroline, it went from, did Caroline do the costuming? And then it was on this, and then no, Caroline did the, helped with kind of like surveying the script essentially, like kind of telling us what would work and what didn't work. And yeah, so, but that was a hell of a fun film to do. And
I didn't think I was gonna get into it, but just going at the callbacks and hearing her tell this story was like, okay, this is worth driving out here for this callback.
Oh yeah, well, and I mean, you know, how many people do you meet who met a serial killer? Oh yeah. Well, didn't you explain that in the QA?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, you don't have to get the DVD of it. It is available on RomanEmpireEntertainment.com. You can see the full feature of Flirting with the Devil if you want to check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. It's on the website, RomanEmpireEntertainment.com. And you'll see John Reddy and Madeline Blum and Nicolette Pullen and China Ray Shirts and Evan
Clampett?
Clampett, yes, thank you. Thank you for...
He was talking about musicals, I remember that at the time.
I almost felt like an asshole there.
No, I was like,
Clampett.
I remember there was some post I just read again recently where everyone was tagged in it, and I'm like, oh yeah. So again, everyone's last name. But I was wondering, spoilers, but like, was Nicolette amongst the ones that got in the clown movies yet?
Killed in the clown movies?
Yeah, because she's probably died in the Roman cinematic universe at some point in time. But I'm just thinking, like, almost everybody's like, it's just a bloodbath in the newest clown movie. So, because like almost all the people that I've directed this year have died in his clown movie. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, Debbie Marr, Scott Bernard Nelson, Diane Slamp, Kathy Willoughby.
Yeah.
Well, I got the final cut of it done, and Michael and Sarah, they're my friends of mine, we filmed at their house on the May 29th. They said, Jesus, you got like a lot of kills in this. Like, and I said, I think it was like 26 or 27 people get killed in that film.
I think I was talking to Jeff Brosey at one point, and he was like, I read the script and it's stab, 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 kill, kill, kill.
I don't know. It's weird because it's like, it's one of those, like Ophelia was a challenge that I wanted to do where I put like two people on screen at once, like the same actor, and like do a cloning story. So I think with iClown, it's like I want to put as many kills in a little horror film as much as possible.
Well, there's been enough build up to it because this is part of a larger thing.
Yeah.
And it probably at this point runs close to feature length if you put all of them together.
Oh gosh.
Because this is the third one, right?
Yeah, and right now it's clocking in at like 52 minutes, and probably it's going to be an hour, you know, because I haven't put all the scenes in there yet. So, but yeah, and I love the fact that you played a killer in this, and then you get killed in iClown. Cody Harvard.
Sorry to spoil it, everybody.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking how many people are going to watch this, and if they do,
Everybody.
great job, watching it.
You underestimate the indie horror fan base in McMinnville, which is the two of us. No, just kidding.
It's just us, yeah.
We just sit there watching it in other cities, talking like, "Did you get that part?"
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of moida happening in that film, and so and then Nicolette, she's in iClown, but she's in like the intro. She's like a dancer in it, so she's not an actual like character in it. She's like in the intro.
There's still time. She'll become the ingenue the next one, and then
she's gonna be a killer in the next one. But that's.
I'm just gonna like wink every time there's a spoiler for. So we just keep a tally now.
We'll just put a little like blinky like spoiler on the little credit there. But yeah, so what about like your Crescent Skull Cinema? Mm-hmm. What is the kind of like the overall goal that you have? Like, what's the vision that you have for Crescent Skull Cinema and your films?
With age, it changes over time, but the way that it started, there were two church janitors named Benji and Jimmy that wanted to make scary movies, and they made a post in a Facebook group in Spokane where I was living at the time, talking about what their interests were and that they wanted to do that. And my agent at the time said that the best thing you can do is make opportunities for yourself instead of waiting for them to come along.
Yeah.
And I had, after I'd finished school for a year, I was just doing a little YouTube channel where I would like make little sit-down advice videos about acting and writing. And then I would do some sketches. And then the last thing that I made before I moved out to this coast was I went to my friend Gretchen's house and we just made a scary movie over the course of one night. We like filmed everything. And I sent that to them and they're like, "Oh wow, you got like more experience than we do. So like, we'd love to have you." So I was working with them for about a year and a half. And then I took a little break away because I was spending all my time helping them make their scripts and their stories, and I wasn't really taking many acting opportunities in the town. So I left for about a year or so, and I was just taking all the acting opportunities I could get where I was at. And in that time, that group didn't make any more movies. I don't know if there was just some sort of shifts in priority. Like, I think Jimmy had gotten a new job, and Benji, he'd already had some kids at the time, but I think he just had another child too. So their focus was elsewhere. But at the time, when it was getting started, we would meet in a Starbucks in the mall downtown, and we would go there every single week, and I would type up the notes. And they wanted a 5-year plan of we would work up to eventually making the first feature, and their idea for financing the features was we're going to write scripts and we're going to sell them, and then we'll eventually be able to finance this thing. And Benji was the big idea guy for sure. He was like a very passionate individual. And after they stopped making stuff when I wasn't part of the group, I said, would I be able to continue with the brand? And he said, yeah, go for it. Since I had like made the website and all their social media. And when I got it, my mindset is much the same as I think yours is. When I was there, I was trying to, whenever I would act in the different shorts around town, and I would see the talent that was there, there's some people that I felt like weren't getting much of an opportunity to sort of show how good they are. So I would like write all these shorts with parts for specific people. And I was trying to make as many opportunities for everybody as I could. And then I moved down here, and I did that a lot this last year, and I definitely expended more of myself than was healthy doing that. So there was a lot of pressure to, I think, had I stuck to that 5-year plan, this would have been the year that I did the first feature. But I'm taking a little bit of a break from it, and sort of prioritizing finding a healthier work-life balance. And I think when that feature comes, I'm just trying to decide what route I'm going to go down for it, because I'm not crowdfunding. I don't want to ask people for money. I might apply for grants, or I might just work extra shifts and try to save up and pay people, but not at an unhealthy rate.
Sure.
So that's sort of where Crescent Skull Cinema's changed in its mission as far as like what we're trying to do. But they liked really shocking, intense, like dark horror, and I kind of liked doing more sort of narrative, like drama and like suspense and all that. So there was a little bit of a clash in vision there, but since I've acquiesced the brand, there's been some comedies and some, you know, I did like a crime drama that was just a comedy. Like, it's like if Airplane was filmed in somebody's kitchen. Did that last year.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I think for now we're just slowing down and deciding what is a healthy amount of energy to invest into something.
Sure.
But I'm glad that I was able to use this year with the brand to make more opportunities for people here, because I think you have to like build a strong foundation, and you have to keep lifting everybody else up with you every time that you take a step closer towards where you're trying to go. Which is like what I really appreciate about what you're operating more altruistically than most people, I think, where you're trying to make McMinnville like hometown heroes. I've heard that phrase tossed around, where you really want to just show the talent that's here and bring more movies out this way. And this is a really nice town. I really like it out here.
Yeah. Well, and I'm pretty certain that, like, you know, with what MCM's doing, and then what you're doing here, and then you know, Jared, Brandon Flande, and then what I'm doing, and then got a couple people, Michael and Sarah Perrine, my friends. They want to do like a parody of the Blair Witch Project, essentially. So it's nice to see that more and more filmmakers like each year are coming out, and it's interesting that you bring that up about the, you know, wanting to write something for somebody, you know, like a couple of projects you've done, because for me personally, it's a really kind of surreal experience. But when I would go to the theater and see my friends on stage, and then you see them after the show, and you're like, oh my God, you're freaking amazing, you know, is that character? They're your friends and you know them, but you feel a little starstruck too. And you kind of like, you're like, I want to get that talent and capture it in a frame, you know. So, and then another thing, kind of the way that you explain it, reminded me of a documentary on Brian De Palma. And
he did Carrie, right?
He did Carrie.
Okay.
He did Scarface, Body Double, Blowout, like all these amazing classics. But there was an actor on there named William Finley. Do you know William Finley, by any chance?
I don't think so.
So he was a friend of his in film school. He's an actor, and he wrote like little short films for William Finley. And anyways, he put him in Phantom of the Paradise. He was the lead actor in that. And William Finley was like never like a huge actor or anything, but he liked the guy. He was good, and he wanted to put him in his stuff, you know. So, and I've always liked that kind of, you know, like you get to know somebody, you love them, and you want to have them in as many projects as possible, you know.
That reminds me of a question that I had for you, which is,
sure.
so you've acted before you were a director, correct?
Yeah.
And you did theater before you did film?
Yeah.
So I feel like you can sort of tell on a film set, even if it's not like, I think there's the preconceived notion of the theater people that they're all very like boisterous and like they are just a little bit unbelievable on camera, but a lot of the time that's not the case. But I feel like you can spot them on set because they're like very, very disciplined, and they know their lines, they're there early. They have a lot of good habits. They're very personable. Why do you think it's a good idea for somebody to do theater? Like, how is that going to benefit them when they're on a film set?
Oh, geez, it's going to benefit you like infinitely. For one thing, you have to memorize all your lines when you're on stage. You can't get by with people feeding you lines while you're having an audience watching you. It would look terrible. And I've done this for actors. I'm not naming names, but I've done this before, maybe because they didn't know that they were filming like certain scenes, and so I've like, you know, you get just a bunch of cameras on them. So you can't do that on theater and on stage. And then there's so many humble personalities on stage because they've done so many things. I've seen people who directed, who do like the ushering, who've acted, who've taken direction. You know, it's just like this circle of various different jobs that they've done. I think there's a discipline to theater. You can't have a huge ego. Sometimes in theater you can. Yeah. A lot. But it spoils it for everybody, and people know those people after one production. You know.
Yeah.
Right. So what's it like the difference between directing a play versus the difference between directing a motion picture? Huge difference, but dang it.
I think it's battery now.
Okay. All right.
We're having a really hard time here. It's episode 1. But at this point in time, while we're fixing the cameras, we're going to insert a clip from The Final Will of Lester Finch. At this point in time, my character, Tucker, is trying to talk his sister out of breaking into their estranged parents' house to get some of their inheritance that they did not get from their grandfather. Roll the clip. Roll the tape.
Jane, go home, Hooker. Jane, please stop. It's not worth it. Yeah, they got their inheritance, but we got our lives. Gramps saved us from these people. We're the lucky ones.
So you're not even a little bit miffed that he completely wrote us out of the will?
Look, I don't know why he did what he did, but I know that Gramps loved us. Like maybe he just wanted to make peace with them or something. I mean, he sided with us over his own son. He was the one that called CPS. Jane!
Look, Tucker, haven't I always been there for you?
Yeah.
Haven't I always put you first?
Yes.
I will never let anything bad happen to you. That's why I didn't even tell you I was coming here tonight.
I know. That's why I came anyway.
Whatever weird reason he had for doing what he did, I don't see that there's any problem with us taking a little bit for ourselves. I mean, reparations, you know, therapy money, whatever you want to call it.
Look, they'll know who took the money. Don't you want to just wipe the slate clean and leave this place behind us forever?
You know, I don't know why he did what he did. But I can't go on with the rest of my life thinking of him as the one person who never hurt us and then just wrote us out of his will like we don't even matter. So you can stay here if you want, but I'm going. Talking me out of it? It's a waste of your time and mine.
The Final Will of Lester Finch had a very purple aesthetic to it, like color palette, very purpley. Am I wrong in that? Like, I mean, it's been a while since
I would say maybe like more blue, but it was mostly just because it was nighttime. But we're gonna go ahead and just claim that that was intentional. No, I mean that for real, and you can tint the stuff in that movie. Where you could change the saturation for if something is if something is supposed to be more somber, it's it really benefits you to lean into like a cooler color palette. So like a lot more purples, blues, greens. And then when it's a little more joyous, maybe just a little bit more saturated. If you're going back in time, you definitely take the saturation way down. You don't even have to tint it like blue or anything. But saturation and the color hue can really contribute a lot to that. But yeah, it was blue mostly for the sake of that it was at night, but also it's a little more intense and a little more sad. Because the grandpa of the two characters in the movie really cared about them, and you sort of find out why they were written out of the will.
If you want to see Flirting with the Devil, go to RomanEmpireEntertainment.com and just check the film out there. You'll see John Reddy and a host of other talented actors. And then also the YouTube channel, Roman Empire Entertainment. This is what we're on. If you like it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And you'll get more great content from more great actors and artists in our community. You have anything you want to promote or plug, John?
I want to promote, go to RomanEmpireEntertainment.com, not .net, and enjoy the movies that are there.
Well, John Reddy, thank you so much for being a part of the very first episode of
Insert title.
Insert Title. Yeah.
We'll just like move our mouths, and then eventually we'll dub it over with somebody else's voice, what the title actually is. Yeah.
And I look forward to working with you on Patchworks and future projects in McMinnville here. So we'll see you on the next episode.